All right, so in 1997, I was in Shawangunk Correctional Facility, which is like considered to be like a maxi-max type thing, like one of the more secure prisons. Recall that it had been, that this vigilante mentality towards people convicted of sex offenses. So Shawangunk, there wasn't a lot. It was a maxi-max, so it was dangerous in terms of the collection of prisoners, but at the same time, there was very little violence or anything that was happening there, and it was a facility that was relatively close to the city as compared to many of the other facilities that were further up north. And so by there being very little that was happening, it actually made it more dangerous because the normal respect that would go on in other prisons didn't really go on there. So everyone was a smaller prison. Everyone was kind of like on top of each other, like into each other's business. There wasn't a lot that was going on. So some of the prisoners went to the law library and they looked up my case because they wanted to know what I was in prison for.
Right.
And they saw in the court opinions, they always give like a factual background of the case. And so they saw I was there for a sex offense, and they made copies of the case, and they, passing it out to people and stapling it up on the bulletin board. So everybody got like hostile. For the most part, most people were hostile. The ones that were not, they really didn't want to get involved into the thing. Look, man, I don't agree with what people are saying, but look, I'm trying to go home, man. I don't got time to get involved in this other problems regarding you. So, people didn't want to be around me. So it was getting more and more hostile there, and it got to the point that, there were 4 people out of everyone that really distinguished themselves, and it got to the point, like, I was letting things go. I was breaking prison survival rules. I was letting things go that I really shouldn't have been letting go. Like people were saying, shooting indirects and direct statements at me, and I was letting things go because
being passive.
Yeah, I was being passive, what I should not have been. Right. And part of that was because they were all much bigger than me, but then also, this was the one time that I had a paid attorney. People came in the picture that my mother didn't know previously, and everybody put in a manageable amount of money. So I had a private attorney, and my point is that I thought that was going to make a difference in the court. So I'm thinking I can't fight these people with my hands. I'm going to have to use a weapon or something. But then it would be just my luck that I would, that I would be found, that I would beat the case that I'm wrongfully imprisoned for, but I will not be able to go home because I caught another case while in prison. So that all was part of letting things go, being more passive. And finally it got to the point that, it seemed clear to me that these guys were going to come and try to stab me. That just seemed like that was imminent. And so, rather than waiting for that, I took the fight to them. So I snuck a 10-pound weight plate out from the small yard. I put it in this net bag that you're supposed to use for laundry, and I swung it at this guy. But the issue is that, like, I didn't want to like kill anybody. I didn't want to cause some kind of permanent injury, so I didn't swing the thing all that hard. I took a lot off of it, more than what I should. So I hit him, he went flying, but it didn't really do that much. You understand? And then from there, they formed like a circle around us, and we're fighting, and he's like the fan favorite.
Like multiple people? You weren't alone?
What? No, I'm saying this happened in the day room area where there's like a television and chairs to sit down at.
Oh, so you just ran up on him
he walked by me and I swung the damn thing, but I didn't swing it. I took too much off of it because I had a concern for him, but also for me. I didn't want to kill him. I didn't want to catch a case. So it hits him. It doesn't do all that much. So people like form like a circle around us, and he's like the fan favorite, and we're fighting with our hands, but like, he's overpowering me, right? And so this weight plate, they start cheering for him. It's like, use the weight plate, right? So this weight plate is at the foot. So there were a couple of other people that had told me that that I had been hanging out with, and they said, look, you got to stop letting all this stuff go. We can't step up for you. You got to do the first thing, and we'll come right in behind you. And so this way, as I'm getting my rear end kicked, well, where the hell's the help at, right? You said you were gonna, but the weight plate is at the foot of this guy, so he runs over to try to get it. I didn't try to stop him because I figured, well, they're not going to let him pick the weight plate up, right? Except they did. And so he starts swinging that thing at me, and I'm blocking a lot of it, but I'm not perfect, and so I got hit multiple times on the side of my head with a weight plate. I still have scars. I don't know if you can see. I still have scars from here and here on my hands.
Jesus.
So.
So what? How big was it? Do you know how much weight it was?
It was a 10 pound.
Okay.
It was a 10 pound. It was a 10 pound weight plate.
Fuck.
We get sent to the outside hospital and everything, and the outside hospital says that I'm supposed to be put in the prison hospital when I go back, not in the SHU, just for observation. But instead they put me in the SHU, anyway. So. This was one of my lowest points.
Yeah, no matter what happens, if you're involved in a fight, whether you win or you get your ass kicked, you're going to the SHU.
Yeah, right. Yeah, depending on where it happens at. Yes. Yeah, definitely. And what I was saying, this was my lowest point in this. Imagine this. So I'm in the SHU. I'm here because I preemptively defended myself against people that were going to come to stab me because as far as they're concerned, I'm a rapist. And while I'm there, I get the decision from the federal court saying that I've lost because the court clerk gave my lawyer the wrong information on the filing procedure, so my petition arrived 4 days late.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to join any gangs in prison to keep yourself safe? Because I know a lot of people have to do that.
Yeah.
The people that don't join gangs typically have to go through a lot of adversity.
Right. Well, I think that's more of a southern thing than it is than it is more up north. But
really?
Maybe more in
I know
Alabama, maybe in Mississippi, or maybe like in Texas. Not so much like that. I didn't find it to be like that in New York.
Okay, so there wasn't any segregation as far as like neo-Nazis and then like the black people and the Mexicans, they would all have their own kind of like.
Well, there were gangs in a prison. I mean, I wouldn't say it was racially segregated. It was not, but it's not like what you're saying, but at the same time, there were definitely gangs. I mean, there was like the Bloods, which were made up of almost the blacks, and then there was the Crips also, and then there was Spanish gangs also. There was the Latin Kings, there was the Dominicans, there was the La Familia, and you did have some of the whites that were there, the supremacists that were there. That was like.
So did they approach you and try to get you to join them, or?
No, that didn't happen to me. While I was in prison, I didn't experience that. But look, throughout the years, there were definitely times when I got beat up for sure, and in my mid-20s, I mean, here and there, I'd come up with a win here and there. But for the most part, look, I'm this white dude from the suburbs that had 3 or 4 fights in my life. I mean, what do you think I'm gonna? Who do you think? You think I'm gonna defeat people that are running from the street, that are fully formed adults, many of them are,
right?
That wasn't gonna happen.
Did you focus on transforming yourself into like more of like a tough guy? Or?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't go that route. But there were some old timers that kind of put me under their wing, and so I picked up on different survival tactics. So like I would mind my business, I would never, I wouldn't open the doors like borrowing or asking anybody for anything. I never got involved in a conversation about what was going to be watched on the television, or when I was in my cell, like I wouldn't like talk outside of the gate, right. So I mean, so those things and. There's certain things you can do to try to minimize things. I wouldn't say that everything is like totally in your hands. It never is.